everyone and welcome back. I've been uploading like every 2 weeks-ish or so. I've been kind of doing that for a little bit, but I want to start uploading weekly, and I'm hoping to start that this week actually. I've got a bunch of stuff that's all filmed and it's been filmed, and I have a lot of stuff to edit, and that's going to be coming to you very, very soon. You may be getting a lot of videos this week. Who knows? Or maybe I'll just keep them from you and just update weekly like I planned to in the first place. But today we're going to be talking about the Spring 2015 anime season, which I have already filmed, but if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I had started a couple since I had filmed that video, and I was like, I'll just annotate in that I really like these shows, but I wanted to talk about them, so I'm gonna refilm this, and a couple episodes of these shows have already come out more, and I wanted to kind of talk about those too. This is gonna have slight spoilers, mostly for the first episodes, but you've been forewarned. This first anime I'm gonna talk about is called Ultimate Otaku Teacher, and you can watch it on the Funimation website, and it is something else. Ultimate Otaku Teacher is a comedy based around a physics prodigy genius who was very, very important when he was much younger, but he suffers from having no motivation to do anything, but to update his anime blog, like all of us in our hearts. His little sister, I believe she's younger, his younger sister, she makes him go out and get a job, and he isn't too excited about it, but he does it anyway, and he's a physics teacher at a high school, and it ensues a lot of weird stuff. Hummingbird has this anime listed as a harem, and it takes place in a school, and there's been a couple of students and more students that are going to be introduced. I think I know how this anime is gonna turn out. The same people who made this anime are the same people that made Oriyamo and Sword Art Online, so that's interesting to note. And I think it's also important to note how maybe that's going to tie in how this anime might end. It's actually pretty funny. I didn't expect it to be very good. Actually, I thought it looked funny enough that I would try it out without knowing anything about it besides the plot, and I liked it. I didn't love it. A lot of the things that happen are kind of over the top, just for me personally, and I was a little taken aback, I guess, by the prank that he does on these young high school girls, even though they are awful. And it was just like, you have to suspend your disbelief, I think, for that. And you have to suspend your disbelief for a lot of it. And it was funny, but I didn't, I was very mixed about this show. I haven't watched anything past episode 1, and there's episode 2 out right now, but I haven't gone back to watch it, but I might continue to watch this. I'm a little skeptical about how this is gonna go. I'm real hoping that this doesn't end up in weird teacher students doing this. The next anime I'm going to talk about is called RIN-NE, and it's made by the same people or person who made Inuyasha, and I didn't know that until after I started this. There's a couple episodes out right now, I believe, or maybe only one. I've only seen one so far. But it's super what you would expect, I think, from somebody who made Inuyasha. The story follows a young girl named Sakura who can see ghosts and other beings because as a child she was accidentally taken to otherworldly places, and that wasn't supposed to happen. She meets a young boy and her cousin RIN-NE, who is a Shinigami, and he basically helps the ghosts to the afterlife, and he can only not be seen when he wears this special coat, and he wears it on his first day of class, and it's super weird, and she's the only one that can see him, and the first episode is very much a introduction episode where they kind of meet and interact for the first time, and they help a ghost who is on his way to meet their teacher for some gym clothes, and they help him move on after they're like, hey, yo, these gym clothes? You wanna touch them? Good, you can move on now. It's great. And then this other ghost that was harassing Sakura, he gets to pass on to But not before he turns evil, which is interesting to note because they can turn evil if they don't get to move on quickly, I believe was the thing that they said. I haven't seen this show in a week. This anime was, I didn't know what to expect from it. The art kind of was like, that's familiar. And then I realized why it was familiar. Because of Inuyasha. And it follows that same feel. I think that Inuyasha kind of gives it very actiony. And the relationship between Sakura and RIN-NE, the relationship between the two main protagonists definitely are kind of reminiscent of Kagome and Inuyasha, and it wasn't bad. It was cute. I was intrigued enough to maybe continue to watch just a couple more episodes before I was like, but it was cute. I guess is a good way to put it. It was cute. It wasn't fantastic, but it was good. It was good enough for me to consider watching more. The next anime I'm going to talk about is Raycon, and that was one I wasn't a fan of, unfortunately. Like RIN-NE, it kind of follows within that supernatural kind of comedy sort of category, but this doesn't quite hit it for me. Raycon is about a young girl named Hibiki who can see ghosts, and she has this friend. They're not really friends. I'm not really sure what they are. And this friend doesn't really she doesn't believe in ghosts at all. I should say that she is very adamant that she thinks Hibiki is lying and is crazy and is just out of it. And this show. I watched the first episode and I wasn't crazy about it. The animation was kind of weird for me, and the characters were not great. The main girl, Hibiki, is kind of perfect, and that just, she has like no established flaws. She's kind of this aloof girl who's learned a lot of things from these ghosts, and she gets dragged around a lot, and there's a weird perverted cat, and the friend that doesn't believe in ghosts is meant to be comedic relief, and I don't find her very funny. A lot of the humor missed with me a lot. I watched an episode and like maybe a half of this show, and it's missed a lot. The comedy is this is just my personal preference, it's very over-exaggerated, and it's kind of like, yo, you should be finding this funny, and I didn't find any of it funny. I didn't think it really hit the mark. The ghosts weren't interesting, although the first ghost, the one that's like on her leg in the very beginning of the first episode, did kind of freak me out, but that was the only interesting part that I cared about. I don't think I'm gonna be watching more of this show, which is unfortunate because I was like, that's a great kind of plot, like a funny supernatural show, which I don't watch a lot of. I don't watch a lot of supernatural shows, but this, I wanted to like it. I did, but it's not good. If you like over-exaggerated humor, give it a shot. Just if that's your thing. It's not my thing. I want it to be like the subtle comedy, I guess, when the jokes are kind of like witty, but these were just like gags more. Next anime I'm going to talk about is Food Wars. Now, there are 3 episodes out right now. I've only seen the first 2 because I think the new one just came out like yesterday-ish, whenever. This anime, let me just tell you a story about this. So I have a Chromecast and I always project new episodes of stuff, like Kuroko and shows like these, onto my TV. And my mom likes to use my laptop in the same room as me. And, look, before you watch this needs to be first and foremost, this is an ecchi anime. I was going into this thinking like, it's gonna be like the chopped up anime. Awesome, I'm into it. And there's a lot of great food stuff. There's also a lot of nakedness, a lot of moaning, and a lot of tentacles. So when I put this on, I didn't know. And I watched an entire first episode of Food Wars with tentacles and naked bodies with my mother next to me. And luckily, I don't think she noticed. But that was by far the most awkward moment of my life. even if I just personally felt that inside. But onto the anime. Food Wars is about a young man named Yukihira, and he and his dad sort of co-run this little restaurant, and it's basically about him going to this prestigious academy to learn how to cook. And it's really, I didn't know what to expect from this show. Certainly not the nakedness. I expected food, and I did get food. You get a lot of cool food stuff, and it's interesting. The way that they mash the ecchi in is like, you're so overwhelmed with these feelings about this food that you're just like, you gotta like, you're feeling it. I think that's an interesting way to do it. As long as you know what you're getting into first. In the second episode, Yukihira, he's the only one that takes like the test, and he like gives it to this girl who has like the finest taste buds in all of the world or whatever, and she like loves it, but she doesn't like pass him. And at the end of the episode, you see, I think it's like her grandfather. He's like, you can tell that he's gonna like let him in, whatever. But the way that it's described is so interesting to me, and it's so pretty. I should note that the food in this anime looks incredible, and it's so good. I would eat any of this. The ecchi in the second episode is a lot more toned down, and from what I hear about the manga, it tones itself down. Is definitely more about the food as time goes on. So I'm really excited to see where this goes, because the plot is actually really interesting, and I think it has a lot of potential aside from the ecchi elements, which they're so over exaggerated that I can't take it seriously. I was a little uncomfortable by the tentacles, but otherwise it was just like, I think that says a lot when I've become desensitized to literally everything but tentacles. Anyway, these last two animes that I'm going to talk about are my favorites of the season, and I'm super excited about both of them because they're both super good. I'm real happy about them. I'm really happy about these animes. Sound Euphonium is an anime by Kyoto Animation, and that right there was kind of what sold me in the first place to get me to watch this, because I have loved every Kyoto Animation show I have ever watched. And this was no different. This was by far no different. There are 2 episodes out of Sound Euphonium right now, and it's so good. It's so good. The story follows a girl named Kumiko who was in brass band when she was in junior high, and now she's in high school, and she has since joined their brass band with a couple of new friends and an old acquaintance who shows up, who she went to junior high with, and she didn't expect to also be there, who she has a little bit of tension with, but is kind of resolved a little by the end of the second episode. Everything about this anime I have loved so far. It's coming from Kyoto Annie, so it's beautiful. It's just very aesthetically pleasing. The animation is just so nice, and the jokes are really funny. I didn't think it was going to be as plot driven, and look, I didn't know what to expect plot-wise. I just knew that it was about music, and it kind of surprised me that the plot was really good, actually, and the jokes were funny, and I loved how accurate it is. I have a couple friends in band, and they were talking to me about how the jokes that they were doing were actually very on point with those instruments that they were talking about, and I thought that was so well researched and so clever of them, and I love it. I love this show. It's so good. It's funny, and it's so charming. It's very charming, and it's beautiful to look at, and I'm really interested to see where it goes, because right now they are sort of going towards nationals, which is interesting, and hopefully they make it. I'm excited. I'm really excited about this anime. The last anime I am going to talk to you about is my favorite of the season, and it is My Love Story, or Ore Monogatari. This anime is about a man who is not as conventionally attractive, you would say. He's kind of big and muscular, and he isn't your normal shoujo protagonist, and he is all kinds of great. And he has this best friend, Makoto, who is the ladies' man, and every lady that Takeo has been into Makoto, and it's kind of sad because Makoto doesn't care about these girls. He's like, nah, I don't want to go out with you, but it's just that he's just not interested, and the way that they go about it is so funny. It's so good. But things might be changing for Takeo when he saves a girl on the train from getting harassed and getting groped, and it sets off these shoujo bubbles and all of this shoujo-ness. But it's funny and it's kind of charming, and you're definitely rooting for him. But he is not rooting for himself because he's so used to his best friend getting the ladies. So he has told himself that he's going to be their cheerleader. But you notice as the viewer very quickly that it's not Makoto that she is interested in, it's Takeo. And it's super cute, and it's so funny. It's so funny. The show reminded me, if you watched last year's seasons of anime of Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun, which was kind of a parody on shoujo romance, and I would say I wouldn't say this is a parody, but it's sort of it's a love story for people who aren't into love stories, was how I kind of saw it described on Twitter. And I would say that it's definitely true, because it doesn't follow those super close tropes, even though I do love those. And when it does use those tropes, it's not for the effect that it would normally be going for. And I love everything about this show so far. The animation is great, the lines are funny, it's so funny, the voice acting's phenomenal. And it's so good. I'm excited to see where this goes, because I'm actually really curious if they're going to get together in the end. I think this is a manga. I'm going to kind of look into it, because if it's fairly short, if it's kind of like within the same realm of A Holly Ride, I might, lengthwise, I might kind of maybe read it, maybe try and read it, because I'm interested to know how this is going to end. But I might just keep watching just to find out first, which is actually what I did with both of my shoujos from last year. So that would be interesting. I'm just so excited about this anime. This is definitely my number one, and the one I'm most excited to see where it goes. And I don't know how many times I can say I'm excited, but I'm so excited for this show. That is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be trying to do these as the season goes on. I'm definitely going to be doing a video for the first episode for when Digimon Try comes out. And I'm going to be doing one for the trailer too, just for those that are interested, because that is technically going to be a spring anime, I believe. If not, I think it's going to be late spring, if not early summer. But I think we're still set for spring. So some things like that should be happening soon. Trailer, I believe, is going to be released next month, so you have that to look forward to. Right now, I am going to go watch the new episode of Kuroko, because I heard it's heart-wrenching this week. I'm really excited, and I've been at a baby shower all day, so I haven't seen it. And then I did this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and like, favorite, subscribe, and do all that stuff. Links for things are in the doobly-doo, and I hope you have a beautiful day or night, whatever you're doing, whatever you are. Hope you're doing well, and I will see you next week video. Whatever comes first.